Hello. How are you, my grade 4 learner? Welcome to our lesson today in social studies. Social studies is the most interesting subject on the learning area in grade 4. I'm your teacher, Paul Kuria. Today, I want us to learn about the children's government in school. The children's government in school. Before we start, allow me to ask you a very good question. Who are the members of the children's government in school? Who are the members of the children's government in school? In a minute or two, I want you to reflect about this question, about the members of the children's government in school. We continue. All the student leaders, they make up the children's government. All the student leaders make up the children's government. You need to know that student leaders are very important in school. Student leaders are very important in school. Each school has different types of leaders depending on the needs of that school. So each school has different types of leaders depending on the needs of that school. I repeat that the children's government is made up of all the student leaders in that specific school. And we've said that each school has different types of student leaders depending on the needs of the school. That means if you go to school A, the names of the student leaders might be different from the titles of the student leaders in another school. A good example, in a certain school in Kisumu County, the overall student leader is referred to as the president. In another school in Machakos County, the overall student leader is referred to as the school captain. In another school in Malindi County, the student leader is referred to as the senator. And that's why from those three examples that I've given, you've seen that different schools have different titles of their leaders and different student leaders depending on the needs of that given school. But key to note that the children's government, they make up the student leaders, they make up the children's government. Let me show you an example of a school called Ruaraka Academy. In Ruaraka Academy, they have the children's government. As we've said, that all schools have children's government. In Ruaraka Academy, the overall student leader is referred to as the president. Then at level 2, there is the deputy president. After the deputy president, we've cabinet secretaries. These cabinet secretaries, one is in charge of games, another one is in charge of education affairs, another one is in charge of environment, another one is in charge of discipline, and with another cabinet secretary who is in charge of time management. In addition to that, each and every class has a class governor. So if you go to grade 4 green, there is the class governor for grade 4 green. You go to grade 4 red, there is a class governor in charge of grade 4 red and the other classes as well. Then in each and every class, we've got class deputy governors. In addition to that, we've monitors. Now, a monitor is in charge of a given learning area. With a monitor in charge of mathematics, a monitor in charge of English, a monitor in charge of Kiswahili, a monitor in charge of creative arts, and other learning areas as well. Remember, I've said that different schools have different student leaders depending on the needs of that given school. What I've given you here of Ruaraka Academy is an example. If you go to another school, the titles might change and we might have different levels of the children's government. We move on. What are the functions of the student leaders in a school? What are the functions of the children's government? The children's government is very important in the school. One, they speak up. The student leaders, they speak up. They listen to what other learners think and feel, and then they'll tell the teachers and the principals about it. It's like being the voice for all the kids in the school. So student leaders, they speak up. They listen, then they speak up. They'll tell the teachers and the principals what other learners think and how they feel. The second function of the student leaders is planning fun activities. You like fun? Who plans for these activities and events? It's the children's government. So they'll help the teachers in planning fun things like school parties, special dress-up days, maybe with some fundraisers to collect money for good causes. It's the work of the student leaders who make up the children's government to help the teachers in planning for these activities and events. They also share news. Now, the student leaders who make up the children's government, they let everyone know about important school news and events. So they make sure that no one misses out on anything fun or anything important. Let's say if the class teacher wants to pass important information to the learners, he or she will call the student leader in charge of that class, maybe a monitor, a prefect, a governor, whichever title they are given, depending on that school. Then the teacher will tell that student leader to go and share the news with the other learners. So the student leaders, they are very important in sharing news. As a learner, if you want to know, maybe you've organized a fun day, who is the best person to ask? Just go to the student leader who is in charge, then ask, when shall the fun day be? And they'll share the news with you. Another function of the student leaders is working together. Working together. You see, the student leaders, once they've been selected, they are taught on how to work together as a team. So they learn how to work as a team, they make decisions and help each other, which helps them to become better leaders. And you see, when a school has better leader, it becomes a good school, like your school. Student leaders also, they help in solving problems. You see, if there is any problem or things that needs to be fixed in school, the student council tries to come up with ideas on how to solve them. Let me give you an example. Maybe in the classroom, there is a broken chair. The person who will make sure that it's repaired is the student leader of that class. Maybe we have a student leader who is in charge of furniture and equipment. He's going to see to it, he or she is going to see to it that it has been repaired. Or maybe learners have an issue. They are going to share with the student leader, then that student leader will come up with an idea on how to solve them. So they'll help in solving problems. Now, another very important function of the students or the children's government is making school a great place. My good listener, my good learner, the student leaders, they work on projects that make school a happier and more fun place. Like what? They start new clubs or activities because they know what the learners want. They'll propose to the teachers, like let's say, we want to start a journalism club where learners will enjoy collecting news, reporting news, and they'll share that with the teachers. The teachers will now start that club, and then there'll be a person, a student leader in charge, and guess what? The students will have a lot of fun. So the student leaders, they make schools to be great places. I'm sure your school is a great place because of the children's government. In conclusion, as we've seen, the student leaders, they are very important people that we need in our school. So we are supposed to support the student leaders. We are supposed to respect them. Let's support them. We should take part in choosing student leaders. So during the student council elections in your school, take part in choosing the student leaders. My good learner, we've come to the end of our lesson today. And I'm sure that you've learned about the children's government. You've learned what's the children's government, members of the children's government, the functions of the children's government, and how we are supposed to support them and take part in choosing the children's government. Goodbye.